We'll go ahead and call the Finance Committee meeting to order, June 24th, 2024. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second that we adopt the agenda, and I'm going to add as printed. Approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we approve the minutes from May 13th, 2024. Motion carries. New business, ARPA funds. Mr. Eubanks.
Okay, I know we got a request a while back at a council meeting from Councilman Rivers, and he was wanting to know were we going to pay the rescue squads as we did the fire departments. And at that time, we felt like we wanted to see some numbers and seeing if they was actually doing their part. And if Ms. Boswell has handed out this is the most up-to-date calls that the squads have been doing here. The number of dispatches, the number they've responded to, and the number of transports. So I'll open the floor up to see what y'all's thoughts on that.
May I ask a question? I can't remember how long ago it was that Douglas, you and myself and Ethan went to a rescue squad meeting. And one entity wanted to be toned out on certain calls, and we asked them for a list of those items or things that they wanted to be toned out for. Did we ever hear anything back from that?
Didn't, not on that particular list. Now, since then, we've had some fire departments or a fire department step up and request. Some of the fire departments have stepped up. They want to be toned out for basically everything. And then I think 911 started toning them out, and that was a little bit overwhelming for them, so they backed up. The most recent one was Alligator, and they've decided anything that the QRVs get called out for, they want to dispatch them. And I think that's working fairly well because they can hit the same tone as out to Alligator at the same time they hit the QRV tone. So there's some request that's been made that's been carried out, but what you're talking about, no, that's never gotten back to us. I do know, as you see some of the numbers, there were a lot of zeros the last time. You know, they are making a few transports now, but I don't know without lifeguard being here, is that something, I don't know how much help they're being able to give. And I do know volunteer work is hard to come by. I mean, we all know that. So I know if by y'all giving, if y'all give, whether or not it will help bring them out more or whatever. I mean, this has just always been a tough one here. And I think that's why it's kept moving on down the line, and we've never actually done anything.
How much response are they expected to provide for lifeguard? Because I'm assuming that's where this is coming from. Lifeguard is saying they're not.
Well,
helping.
and I wanted to talk to Mr. Snipes with lifeguard today, but today, actually, I made a call to Clay on another matter, and I've heard it for myself. Today has been a very busy day for them. They have run and run and run. Lifeguard has. I mean, I've heard them calling helicopters. I've heard a little bit of everything today. I don't know how much. We just had an issue, had a meeting with one of the fire departments. You know, they were getting toned out for the helicopters to set up a landing zone and all, and they felt like they were being abused and all. Felt like they were jumping the gun there, toning them out, because, you know, they're having to pay their people to go set up a landing zone. Some of the fire departments, because they've chose to pay some of their employees, and I think that's kind of what it's taking to get your volunteers, is some type of incentive for them to come out and do that. So it's a fight everywhere you go. I mean, we want to be toned out, and then if you tone out, we're getting toned too much. I mean, it's
I think it goes back to responsibility. I mean, are they responsible for setting up landing sites? If that's not their responsibility, then.
the fire departments, it's my understanding, anytime a helicopter's on its way, and that's kind of what we went back to show them is, look, I mean, these dispatchers can only do what they're told to do. Somebody's telling them to send a helicopter. Once that happens, that helicopter's on its way, then they hitting the button to dispatch the fire departments to set up a landing zone. So, and that's kind of what we teach the dispatchers over there. When you get a call, you make sure it gets to the right people. Now, whether or not it's coming in quicker than it should be, that's not, we'll hash that out. Don't it fall on you to be the reason somebody didn't show up.
Is there lack of communication, getting it to, if the fire department is complaining that they're paying somebody to do this, do they feel like it's not their job? And if it's
No,
their
they're
job-
saying they getting there and the calls are coming in. This particular instance was a call was coming in and the helicopter was dispatched. So the fire department was dispatched. They're headed to set up a landing zone and then they canceled the helicopter. They're saying somebody, and they were thinking it was 911, saying that, they was doing it too quick, but somebody tells 911, they don't just say, okay, this one sounds bad, they wait to hear from someone, a lifeguard, or a medical person to say, we need a helicopter. So, Mr. Curtis.
Ms. Burns, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Backing up just a minute, it's in the contract, if I remember correctly, with lifeguard or whoever else we've had, First Health, it don't matter which one, that they are priority and the rescue squads are backup.
That's correct.
Now, if they cannot handle everything they've got, then the rescue squad is supposed to respond. Okay, that is one of the reasons why we give them that $1.5 million every year to split, and it goes up, because the millage goes up. But then used to, that's all we had with the rescue squad. We transported everything, 24/7. We've had a paid service, what, maybe 12, 16 years? I can't remember.
Yeah,
First Health first,
we probably pushing 20 years.
been 20 years?
Yeah,
Well, I'm getting old.
yeah. I'd say we over 20 years of.
But then times change, life's getting hard. It takes a two-person income to run a household anymore. And volunteers is hard to come by. Everybody are so busy. And if you remember, Mr. Eubanks, in that meeting we had, and Dr. Butler, you helped me with this. There was one or two of them captains in there, and that's what was in there, was captain's meeting. Was saying, look, money's not gonna solve our problem. You cannot buy volunteers. Is that not correct?
Best of my recollection, that's true.
Okay. But yet they're still getting, and ma'am, I'm gonna have to rely on you to tell me what they're gonna get. Well, just tell me what they got last year. Do you have that in front of you?
$9,600. You're
What
talking
now?
about the 6 rescue squads?
Yes, ma'am.
It's roughly $9,600.
Say again?
Yeah, $9,600, roughly around $9,600 each.
For some reason, I thought it was more than that. I thought it was, around the 30,000 mark.
That's total. That's with their millage and what the county gives them.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, okay.
All right, how much money does the rescue squad
They get
get
over $30,000 total,
total?
yes.
Okay. And now they can't be here to defend themselves. I'm not gonna try to defend them. I spent 22 years with them. But these transports are terrible. Now, whether they're sending a couple of folks out there to go to the scene, I don't know. But those numbers are embarrassing to me.
When you hear them calling on outside counties
Come in
to
here.
come in to help, that's
Yeah.
where, you know, it's like, I feel like that's when our crowd should be stepping up, and helping them with the transports there.
I'll agree, when they got pulled from Union County or Marlboro County or wherever, that's lifeguard to help them. And it's a mutual understanding, we help them too.
Exactly, I hear the same thing going that
other way.
direction too.
But, it's not like it used to be, and I don't know. These are my friends. I know them all, been knowing them for a long, long time, but it is, it's not their fault they don't have the volunteers. That's just the way life has evolved. But if you're not using the money that we give you already, what are you doing with it?
Well, I know the one that's requesting it has literally told me themselves that, you know, they need it to replace tires on their vehicles. I mean, the ambulances and stuff.
Well, Mr. Eubanks, if you don't make but 6 calls, 0 calls, 2 calls, how you wearing your tires out?
I think, and this is another bracket that, you know, we could put on there, you've got these crash trucks and stuff crash trucks and all, that's capable of going to help take care of a wreck, but it doesn't transport. You follow me? I mean, like the jaws
Yeah,
of
sure,
life and
sure.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
You,
And the only time they call them out is when you got a wreck. Okay, and the only time that, most times you call out the fire department, used to now, protocol was if you had entrapment. Now, whether that's changed or not, I don't know.
I know some of them, they want to be dispatched to any motor vehicle accident. I think most of the fire departments do get dispatched to those now.
Do they have that same gear on their trucks, or just they there for fire protection?
That
They put entrapment
I could
on
not,
wreck.
I'm thinking that some of the fire departments have the jaws of life, I call it, equipped on their trucks, and then I've heard that some fire departments don't want it because
That's another
they feel like that's
step they
opening up a
gotta do.
liability to them also.
Ms. Burns.
Matter of fact, I believe it was Jefferson in your area. We agreed that they're gonna send some people to school, and that they stay there a year. It takes them a year to get the certification, that they stay there a year. If they stay a year, then we'll reimburse them. Is that correct? You remember that?
We just passed that.
Yeah, we passed that.
Yes, sir.
Is there a record of how many transports that, say, Union County or Marlboro County is doing?
And say that again.
I mean, like we got right here, the transports, is there any way to know what Union County's transporting or what Marlboro County's transporting for us?
Yes, I didn't think about that one, but I could get them, because they're doing it through our dispatch. If anytime they've called on Anson or Union or Marlboro or Darlington, I'm sure if it's tone through dispatch, I could run a,
And could it be that these numbers are low, because lifeguards doing a better job?
I don't think that's the case, because just like today, I mean, you hear them everywhere. I mean,
And they just get overwhelmed.
yeah,
Well, when you have, just like Jefferson, they respond to about a little over half of the dispatch calls, but they only transport two. So is that because people, once they respond, they choose, that happens too, they choose not to be transported? Or you have, Sherrall, they have 38% response and 6 transport. I mean, how does that correlate?
That's my question. I was thinking the exact same thing.
They wasn't responding to with the ambulance, they were responding in their personal vehicle.
Right.
Personal
That was
vehicles, just like I
my-
told you a while ago.
A lot of cases, you got people that's on the rescue squads that wear radios or whatever. They hear a tone of their department. They're in their personal vehicle a lot of times, and they go to wherever the call's at. So they sign on and say, one so-and-so, I'm headed. He's headed in his personal vehicle. So basically,
That's responding.
yep, that's the response. He's down as a response, but what can he actually do other than lifting
doesn't mean we have an
assistance or
ambulance
something like
responding.
that, you know?
Okay, I see.
Well, how are we supposed to make a decision?
And that's the where,
There's
that's
so
where it's
much-
been, and we kind of put it back in their lap, like Mr. Butler said the last time. Get us something that you want to be, you feel like you need to be toned out for and go to. And we kind of said we felt like you should be showing more transports than you did, and then that never got back to us.
When we discussed, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt anybody, but I was going to ask a question. When we discussed the contract going up with our current service, one of the things I thought we talked about was using the local rescue squads for transport to take some of the load off of them. That would help them keep the cost down as much as possible. Is that not happening? Because, I mean, it sounds like we're going to outside counties to get some of these transports done. I mean, I don't know if I remember that exactly correctly, but it seemed like we had that as part of that conversation.
And this would be hard to do unless you get them here, or get a few of them here to argue their side.
It's tough either way.
It's a
you know,
tough, exactly.
It's tough. You don't have the personnel, okay? You don't have the volunteers, and it's used to, years and years ago when I was there for 22 years. And a lot of folks back then would let you off your job to go respond to a rescue squad call, and they didn't dock you a dime for it. And you might be gone a couple hours. But that's not the way it is anymore. But, they do play a vital part, I think, but I think they can step up their game a little bit. I mean, if you go and just yourself in your personal vehicle, you basically naked as far as anything other than basic life support, what you can do, first aid wise. I mean, you ain't even got well, they may have a jump box in the car, but you don't even have a Band-Aid.
One, I remember now, at the meeting that we went to, even said, if you give us the money, that's still not gonna get us volunteers to help do anything.
What's it?
That being said, and
And I was even told, about long ago, that there may be one rescue squad that's gonna shut down, because they don't have personnel. But yet, we need to solve this, and we need to solve this today. We've kicked this can down the road too far.
Well, what's the solution?
I was just gonna say,
I
if
feel
you
like
got the
there's so much
solution,
information
please
that
Well-
we could
share
use
it,
to still missing.
I'm,
because we don't wanna penalize them.
no, I
Just
don't want to
because you
penalize
can't
them
get
at all, not at all.
volunteers.
And I think we should give them some funds. But then this is coming out of the,
Offer.
COVID money, so it's a one-time deal. It's the last time deal. And I don't know if they were promised anything at all. But what my suggestion would be, and I'll make the motion to it, is we got, what, 7 rescue squads?
We're not, you counting, are you counting lifeguard? 'Cause you
No,
got
no, no,
six,
no,
now you
no,
got
no,
six.
no, ma'am, not a contractor.
Well, you would say 7, but it's just 6.
6.
6 right here.
My recommendation and my motion would be give each one of them $5,000 out of the COVID money, and then we're done with it.
Define done with it.
Okay, let me, and the motion is dead right now because it wasn't a second yet.
Not
But
yet.
I do have a question. How much did we give the fire departments the last time?
On
10.
the 10, we gave them 15 the first time, we gave them 10.
And 10 the
Yeah,
second.
that's where the 10 came from for this.
But then if you, I'm so sorry, Ms. Burns, you didn't recognize me. Okay. But the fire department, if you look at the numbers, probably a triple, if not quadruple of the calls that they make. That's why I just don't think it's fair and equitable. I think that number's fair and equitable. I'm probably gonna lose some friends over it, but that's the way I feel. And I'll stand by my motion.
My only concern is we seem to have an issue. I'm not opposed to giving them money. I don't know that I don't know if there's more information. I feel like I need more. I don't know where we get it. Or I don't know what it is. If we give them more money, the issue still remains if it's a volunteer issue. Figuring out what they need, what role they play. Even if we give them money now, we still need to address that moving forward and not just be done with it, because this is I see a need here. I mean, they play an important role. They fill in some gaps, whether it's small sometimes and larger others. I don't know.
Mr. Smallwood, we give them that money with the $1.5 million that they pick up every year. All right, you're looking around 30 grand, okay? And that's a lot more than we give some of the fire departments, okay? Because they have to rely on dues. And,
You want to restate your,
ma'am,
would you like to restate your motion?
how much clearer can I be?
It died, so it needs to be restated so it can get a second. It was clear. It just didn't have a second, so.
Y'all discussed it.
Well, if it don't have a second, then it dies, and this can just keep kicking down the road.
That's why I asked, do you want to restate your motion?
No, ma'am, I'm gonna stand by what I said.
But we don't have a motion to vote on unless you restate it,
I restate the same motion.
okay?
I feel like we need to give the rescue squads however many we got, $5,000 out of the COVID monies.
Okay? Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved, and now we have a second that we give the rescue squad $5,000 out of the ARP funds.
Yes, ma'am.
All in favor of the said motion, let it be known by the sign of aye.
Aye. You
Any
concur?
opposed? I concur. There's no opposition, the motion carries. All I was asking was that you restate it so we could get a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we're good.
That heat's good out there to me, and it don't make my brain work too good.
That's all right. Moving right along. Loader purchase for public
Well,
works.
we still got some more there on the ARPA, right? I wanted to make sure, or we all get on the same page as far as the remainder of our ARPA money.
Okay.
Could let you know kind of some of the things that we still around the 5.5 million is what remains in the ARPA money. The only thing that I've got left is, and they're meeting tomorrow, the Alpha Center building. We're looking at that, hoping that, we can end up with that building. And I talked to her, we was texting back and forth yesterday. I was trying to get the numbers for y'all at this meeting. She said their board meets tomorrow night. And she said, we've got the appraisal numbers in, so hopefully they can get us a number for the building down there. That being one, and we also looking at, I've told y'all the voter registration, amount of equipment that has been being required to put in on that department, y'all wouldn't believe. I mean, he's just strapped for space and all. So we're actually looking for a location there. So I'd like to retain enough money to possibly do something there. And then the rest, I think, possibly looking at the rest of it going towards the jail. So just kind of wanted to point that out and make sure y'all agreed, or we kind of need to let council know at some point, and because Michelle's got to know something here this year as to what we're gonna do with it. So just wanted to make sure we're on the same page there, that we're headed in the same direction there. If not, y'all turn me in a different direction.
When does that information have to be in? By the end of the year?
Yeah, we had to have it obligated by December 31st, and I'll have to put it on my report in April, but I had to have paperwork showing where we have pretty much like went in a contract to build a new detention center. I've got to have paperwork showing that I had it obligated by December 31st.
Do you have any ideas about the voter registration location?
I did, I was looking at a building that I can't say right now, but I've heard some numbers, and I felt like it was too much, so, I wanna go back to them and all, but I'm hoping we can do some negotiating with that price there too, so that, it's just some wheels that's got to be still turned. Yes. So I'm still working on that.
Okay.
So I just wanted to make sure y'all agreed that I didn't want to be out there negotiating for a building and y'all say, no, we hadn't. So those are the two things that I know outside of the jail that I'm looking at, that I'm gonna be hitting y'all with in the future.
So the request then, if I understand it correctly, is with the rest of the ARPA fund, we've already committed to the $5,000 each rescue squad, the Alpha Center for the coroner, and then a location for voter registration.
A location or a building that we've been looking at.
And the rest would be allocated toward the detention center, the new detention center.
But, Madam Chairman, wouldn't that be predicated to what the purchase price of the Alpha Center may be?
Well,
I mean, it may be more than what we want to.
Exactly, and that's what, I'll bring that number back to council when I receive it.
And
I
we've
just
got 5
wanted
point what now?
5.5.
5.5.
So I just wanted to make y'all aware that I'm still trying to get that, and I'll hopefully be bringing you those numbers shortly.
Well, hopefully this, and we have just got to educate the public on what this penny tax is going to do. Either you gonna pay it in ad valorem taxes, or everybody can share it. Don't matter whether you rent or whatever. But, do we need to reserve a certain amount of that 5.5 for you to do your work?
And that's what I didn't know how y'all wanted to do, if just that. I can get some numbers and probably get you closer to what I feel like probably needs to be reserved for that. Especially if I can see this one number after tomorrow, I hope, so.
Would you or Ms. Burns feel indifferent if we find out some numbers and whatever you want to keep in reserve for voter registration, that the rest of the ARPA money be allocated towards the jail?
I don't think.
Would that be smart or not?
I don't think you ought to do that yet.
I was just thinking, all we need to do is commit to using the monies for those three things.
Those three things, okay. Like a motion to that.
Well, actually, it'd be four things, because the last thing would be the detention center.
My question before you get ready to make a motion or do anything like that, how about if something else pops up between now and the next 3 or 4 months? Are you obligating yourself to that right now? If you do,
I understand what you're saying, I
If you
do.
do, I don't think that's smart myself.
So really, if, and I.
And he's correct.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I keep talking out loud without being recognized. I apologize. So basically, we're just in agreement that at this point in time, we are intending,
To do
but
this.
not bound to, allocating money for these things if financially they make sense at the time and whatever's left over for the jail unless, but, I mean, if we all are in agreement with that, we can wait till it's ready to go to
When
full council
when
before we
would
make
you have to
motions.
have an answer to say you got to send in? I'd say we could hold off till Michelle says I've got
You
to.
can hold off, but just as long as you enter into a contract by December 31st.
Okay, so,
So that if y'all can put in my
Yep.
hand a contract showing that I have obligated this money by December 31st, you could do it December 30th, you know what I'm saying? But I've got to have it obligated.
It looks like
So-
you'd be close to that.
We've got a.
Yeah, I wouldn't push it.
But I hope you don't
We're
wait.
gonna be
till
scrambling to get there with the big project.
yeah,
But, and I just kind of wanted to throw, that's
That's just
where
the
I'm
way it
headed
needs
right
to be
now,
done.
so.
okay,
I agree with all of it.
yeah.
And Dr. Butler, you may be exactly right, something might just fall in our lap.
Yep.
Let's hope not, but you
So
never
we can,
know.
right. So unless y'all tell me difference, I'm headed in that direction and
I think
I'll
we-
bring
I think
it,
that'll take a
as
motion.
I hear it, I'll bring it to you.
Okay,
Okay?
we're good.
All right, the loader purchase. And what happened to us, y'all approved us to get a loader, and we wanted to step up a size bigger than what we've got now. And that particular loader was what y'all approved. Since then, that particular loader, we're 8 months out as far, before we can get that loader. The loader we got now is giving so much trouble, we're kind of in a bind, and they could get one another size bigger that's on state contract, that it was gonna cost us about 45,000 more. I asked him to check and see what the trade-in value of our old loader, what they'd give us for it. It was gonna give us 22.5 for that one, which brought it back down. Bottom line, we'd have to come up with another $32,642 to pull this off. Since then, I've had him looking for another brand. I said, let's look and see if there's not another brand out there. And he's texted me since I've been here, because I told him I'd like to know those numbers. And if y'all will let me, this is probably something I could, as long as I stay under what y'all have already approved, I would be good, correct? With this being so quick, I don't want to pull the plug on this. I'd like to have more time to negotiate this. I'm wanting to, I may be switching brand names, is what I'm
As long as
getting
we're
at.
not looking at an off-branded something.
Exactly. So I reckon if it's okay with y'all, let us move on. Let me bring that back to y'all. And I may do it at the council meeting, because I know it's something that we're gonna need to move on quickly, but I just don't have enough information right now
Okay.
to pull that. That's too much money to rush. Executive session's all that's left.
Okay. Mr. Ruffner's not here, so I'm just gonna read this.
Okay?
Pursuant to SC Code 30-4-70A1, the committee may enter into executive session for discussion of employment, appointment, compensation, promotion, demotion, discipline, or release of the following employees: Administrator and Public Works Director. Is there a motion to enter into executive session?
Motion.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we enter into executive session. No motions were made, no votes were taken. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
We are adjourned.